Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Darren After the Credits, number 37, our TV recap show. I'm joined by my good friend, Darth Bunyan. Darth, how's it going today?
I'm doing good, thank you. How you doing?
I am doing good. It feels back to kind of be, or I guess it feels good to be back in a little bit of a groove of things after being on vacation a couple weeks ago. And then last week's episode was kind of chaotic and just like it was middle of the day and like we were capping at an hour. But no, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have you back. It's been, we are entering the. This is our penultimate week. It's pretty crazy how it all lined up.
Yeah.
But this week we had the penultimate episodes for The Acolyte, The Boys, and My Adventures with Superman. And you're feeling that with these shows. And next week we get to talk about finales, which has never happened when we've had 3 finales to talk about all in the same kind of foul swoop. So it'll be interesting.
No.
But yeah, I mean, how are you kind of feeling on just kind of we're entering? I guess we're entering the end of this era of TV for this year.
Brutally sad again, honestly. I've loved every part of where we've gone on this journey for all of the shows. My Adventures with Superman brought in some interesting elements that I've taken on board, i.e. the whole energy powers. The Boys has made some really interesting choices. I've been here for all of those, and The Acolyte has just been non-stop winning for me, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's like we're kind of, and I hate to think of it, like we're kind of exiting the summer era of TV, which in my mind, like summer is until like the end of August. Like in my head, that's kind of where it ends. But like our store has now put up its fall decorations. We have like Halloween candy out, and it's just like, no, don't put back to school things up in. It's still summer. Let me enjoy my summer until we get into fall. But we've got about a month and a half left of like prime summer, I guess. I guess we're kind of exiting a lot of these summer shows with all of this stuff. And House of the Dragon, we're not covering that on here, but that one has a couple weeks left, and it's kind of timeline and stuff like that. So yeah,
like The Boys had a Christmas episode. Like, what's that?
They did, and I think it was very interesting because they clearly knew it wasn't going to be Christmas. And I think they played with that idea a little bit of just like it feeling off because like that's such a TV trope where it's like it's a Christmas episode, but it's July or whatever. And yeah, they I think they knew like this isn't going to air in July. This is going to air in the summer.
It didn't take me out of it. Honestly, I was still fine with it. If the Sesame Street part's not taking me out of it,
oh my gosh,
then the Christmas stuff's fine.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. So yeah, let's start with The Acolyte. Obviously, this is kind of
starting strong.
Kind of the one your kind of specialties. Again, penultimate episode. Time to wrap things up, and I actually thought it was a very interesting penultimate episode. What was your kind of thoughts on it?
Absolutely called it. I called it. I done told you so. I said so. Okay. So when episode 3 came out, it was all, oh, this makes no sense. This makes no sense. Of course it made no sense. Like, there's no way that solely a fire is killing all of those witches, and in the way that they all died close together. Smoke inhalation won't do that. So like anyway. So really, 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 really good. Give us the questions, give us the answers that we needed. And it's put everybody even like with more context for where they are, which means that next week's going to be really, really explosive because Osha feels like she knows, and then her idol is going to be ripped away from her and just stripped bare. And I cannot wait. To see it because I am a massive part of like the Soul Patrol, right? Because we got Soul Patrol, the Yord Horde. Jackie's got one as well. Like, there's a whole bunch of names for people on the show that everybody are really digging. And yeah, Jedi Master Soul is my favorite, and I'm worried. I'm really worried. I'm really, really worried because he's given just an outstanding, shining performance. They all have. Let's be fair.
Good. Yeah.
Right. But he's done just really, really well, becoming the favorite. And I'm worried that he's not going to make it till next season. I'm worried that there's going to be some kind of battle. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, so what if next week there is the Sophie's Choice that Jedi Master Soul had this week, right? Of I'm using the Force powers. I have to save one child. Who's it going to be? That Osha gets put in a position where she has to choose between May and Soul.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
I
going to be
yeah, I can see
interesting.
that'd be fun. Yeah, no, it was I definitely thought it was a very interesting choice to kind of put a little like another kind of prequel episode right here at the end. Like I definitely think it makes sense due to what happened last week with us being like, I wish I could tell you what I've been waiting all this time to tell you this thing or my side of the story or whatever. It is definitely interesting to put that kind of as like the penultimate though. Like it's like maybe but also it's one of those things. It's 8 episodes. Where else would you put an episode like this? Which I definitely like the prospect of like this is my POV of episode 3. Like I think that's a really fun idea, and I think that's a fine line to walk because like can you do it without making it boring, without just seeing the same thing kind of over again? And I think they did a solid job at keeping you kind of engaged throughout it and keeping it doesn't feel too bland. And again, I also think it helps that Solo is like I think easily the best character in the show like thus far. Like I think he's I really enjoy his character. But also like were you at all upset? Not upset, but like were you at all kind of thinking, this is a weird place to put the episode, or are you okay with it?
I'm perfectly fine with it. Even more so if we get a season 2, which I'm desperate for at this point. Desperate for. And I'm hoping that it's not like something that Marvel do where they're like, right, well, we set up this project and now you're just going to see these people elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
or
I want it now.
In like 5 years.
Yeah. Don't even. Oh my God. So I need a season 2 to happen. I need like more relationships explained. I need to see where they go, because like Jedi Master Soul has so much to work with because he's lost an apprentice. He's on the verge, like he has an attachment which he has to deal with, which he's had this whole time, which shows the Jedi are just as fallible as I am. See, check that name out. See that little name right there? Where is it? Right there. See that? Yeah, the Jedi are just as fallible. That's what it is. So where are you hoping Osha ends up? Good or bad? Or in the middle?
I don't know. Kind of in the middle. Because like I definitely did enjoy like a couple weeks. Like I don't know, like it is a really fun aspect of like, and we talked about this last week, but like Osha kind of getting to see the bad perspective that what's the other one's name? Osha and May. Right? That getting to see like where she's coming from and the upbringing that she went through and what she's been going through, and then May being able to see like the Jedi way and why that way is also something that someone would want and that kind of something. So I would like each character kind of take something from each other and maybe both become more balanced individuals. But no, I think I am actually very excited to see those two characters, I assume, reunite next week with both new perspectives and just be like I think we need to get those two characters sitting down and like, hey, let's talk. Like let's get you guys in some therapy and talk out your issues.
Like, because Osha was nowhere near everything that happened, right? So either she's going to get a vision, or she's going to have to get the revelation from one of those two.
Sure.
I would kind of prefer it if she gets like a vision in the helmet, because then we can just move on to other stuff instead of having like a whole argument and then, hey, no, you're wrong, this is what it is, and there's she'll understand the situation and how to tackle it going in. I would prefer that, if I'm honest. I'm not sure where I want. She's obviously a good character, but has like a lot of emotions. Kamir is trying to like use that to his ends, obviously. I like when you're training, you get like blue or green lightsabers, and I think the yellow comes. Well, it used to come as part of being a guard on the thing. Now it's as a sentinel and stuff, and so like maybe one of three. So I'm hoping to see it with a purple lightsaber because of the whole embracing darkness stuff and like Mace Windu aspect. So that'd be really cool.
Sure.
And I've seen Amandala posing with purple lightsabers, so
That'd be very cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of lightsabers, easily again, like I'm not like super into the show or anything, but like easily my favorite part of the episode was just like selfishly like the freaking Wookiee lightsaber fight coming in here, and
so
like,
good.
I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I'm like at the dinner table eating spaghetti. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is really fun.
Okay, so this is the Wookiee is a very good example, right? So if you notice, the Wookiee was not very agile. I didn't have much dexterity when it came to fighting, right? It wasn't very like one. It was, I'm using my power and my force and this, my strength, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like because he doesn't need to, right? Because he doesn't need to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how the Jedi get in 100 years, over the next 100 years. Because there's just been like lacks of enemies going on and on and on. They just get like weaker and weaker, really,
Sure.
So it's very,
also,
very
I
interesting.
feel like there's a reason Chewie didn't need a lightsaber. He didn't need to be a Jedi in the movies.
Did not
he's
need
a
it.
freaking Wookiee, and he can just tackle some folks.
I have a really interesting, like, technical question that I'm absolutely certain that they won't answer, possibly until season 2. I don't know if you noticed, but when Mother Anastasia was using the magic to separate Torbin and Mother Coral, right? And then she's there just before she like gets got with the lightsaber. She's like, no, and then spreads out, right? As she's spreading out and dusting apart, so's May.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like, what's that about?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I have no idea. About. Yeah, I was like, are they connected in some such a maybe a stronger way? I don't know.
Yeah, because it didn't show like Osha that happening to Osha in any way. It didn't cut and show her like a part of her disappearing because that might be a part of the fact that she didn't have the ascension as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I actually really appreciated us now getting to see May's test, because the first time we only got to see Osha's test, right?
Yeah,
Osha's
test. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, absolutely.
I really liked that scene of him being like, let's try the next one differently. Like clearly they went in with not the perspective we wanted them to have. Let's try this way, and I thought that was a really fun way to use the like, this is my perspective or whatever. And I did think it made me like episode 3 a lot more. Like I remember thinking it was pretty all right, and I did feel like I had just a better understanding about that entire episode than we did previously, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, because again, this is another thing that I've been discussing recently. Is like one, like you're absolutely right. It made it not dull. The fact that they separated the girls into episodes like made it feel less repeated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was great. So you're absolutely right. But like, yes, the Jedi have like a deal with the Republic, right? But not every person on a planet wants to be a part of the Republic. Do you know what I mean? And then all of the planets in the galaxy aren't a part of the Republic. So a Jedi's authority is very questionable. Do you know what I mean? It would be like the Crusaders of the Christian faith, right? Back in the day with their swords and everything, just running around saying we're the heroes, and this is just, you've got to do what we do, you know. because Knights of the Old Republic 2, a game from 2005, I think it was, had people a quote in there saying that most people in the galaxy just see the Jedi and the Sith as two halves of the same coin, just two parts of the same religion, you know. So then them walking around with like pious authority saying that we're the good guys, we have a right to check children, you know, like who says so? Who says you do? Really, honestly, like who made you right, morally right over everything, you know? So yeah, it's very, very difficult. But then on the side of it that we've seen, again, for the most part, until Torben gets like overzealous, they are just genuinely trying to do the right thing and are trying to look out for the girls.
Yeah.
So it's very, very difficult.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, obviously the finale is next week. I am always very, you know, I think I've enjoyed the show for the most part. I think it's been a solid show, a solid little show. Hello, Liam, how's it going? I will say, you know, if you don't mind, just a little bit of criticism, and it's not really even criticism. It's just like it does have that Disney Plus thing for me, where it doesn't necessarily feel like a show. It feels kind of like a 8-episode movie, and I am kind of. I have had issues with Disney Plus finales in the past. I will say, like, I have disliked more Disney Plus finales than I've liked them. Like, obviously, stuff like Loki was amazing. We've had some fun ones here and there. But, I mean, are you worried about how we're going to be wrapping up the show next week or the season next week? Are you worried it's going to fall into the trap of a lot of these other Disney Plus shows, or do you have faith?
I have faith. I have absolute faith. It is not shaken in any way. They've given us no reason in any way to make us worry. They've shown that they are both fans of Star Wars and the wider universe. They have a very deep knowledge of the lore. They've obviously worked very close with Dave Filoni when they said that he was a mentor for them. You know, so just bring it on. I cannot wait, and just renew these guys. There's already like a hashtag on Twitter for a hashtag renew the acolyte. You know?
Yeah, I've seen that. I hope.
Let's get it.
I genuinely hope the fans of the show get what they want. I hope they get another season. I also hope they get it entirely to piss off the people who don't want it. I want it just because, like, that's the thing with She-Hulk, is everyone hated She-Hulk, and She-Hulk didn't get another season. I don't think that's about ratings as much as, like, the price that it would take for them to make a season 2 of She-Hulk. But like, that was also, like, irritating because I think that, like, fueled those fires of being like, yeah, it did suck. I didn't get a season 2. And it's just like, that's not why. There's a recent reason why that. So I hope it gets one just to make all the other people that don't want one mad. So it's crazy.
Yeah, again, yeah, you're right. It wouldn't validate what they were saying in any way because it's still an insanely good show, you know.
Yeah.
And I am so thrilled with what we've got because I was expecting, you know, the scenes that we got on Coruscant with Master Van Astra talking with Ki-Adi-Mundi and like even in the transport bay talking to the other ones, or even Soul in the prison chambers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was expecting just like a whole show of that with maybe a couple of lightsaber fights in it. Yeah. I am so happy with what we've got, honestly, because they could have they could have done that, and like a whole bunch of Star Wars fans like myself would have still been really happy. But we got something bigger, wider, like much more interesting and deep. You know, a question of identity, I think, is what this whole show is about.
Sure.
And I love it.
Yeah, no, I hope it ends strong for the people that are really loving the show, and I hope it can, because I'm not sure where it's going to land for me, you know, just in general, but clearly people are loving the show, and I think that's great. Justin Shield says, no comment on The Boys since thanks to VOT HQ Instagram, I know how the show ends and I don't want to spoil it for anyone else. Have you seen this at all? What Justin's talking about?
No, thank God I go on Instagram.
I don't use Instagram too much, So that's a weird. Is it like the official bot Instagram? I didn't even know they had it like an official. I guess that makes sense. I went on for Twitter. That's unfortunate. I mean, hopefully it's like a red herring where it's like, this is how it's going to end. But
there's no way. There's no way, right?
I don't know. But I'm also not going to look it up to check out the source. Maybe after it airs, I'll watch it, or look it up. But
yeah, just to double check. yeah, just to check the validity of it. But oh my god, there's no way. That would be the worst idea for marketing ever. Unless like because
red herring. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Oh my god, I got it right. It's because Cameron Coleman's gone. Pardon me. So like the whole media thing's gone to poop. So now they don't know what's happening or what to do. So their whole like attempt at viral marketing every time is going to have to go in a whole different way.
Man. I mean, I guess we may as well segue to The Boys. I feel like it's casually going that way anyway. I mean, The Boys episode 7. We were talking prior to going live, but we're finale week for The Boys, and I'm so mad because it's like it feels like it just started. It feels like we're just getting into the season. In terms of like how long it feels like it's been, but I guess that's just kind of Amazon's thing with their 3-episode drops. But no, we're at the penultimate, and this could have been a finale. Last episode could have been a finale. The episode before that could have been a finale. What's your thoughts on The Boys episode 7?
Absolutely loving it. Honestly, the idea of doing a Christmas puppet Sesame Street vibe, while also just shaking things up.
Yeah.
Honestly, Vought Towers never looked so different in the office, in Homelander's office part. Like structurally wise. I mean, the only person that really is still there is Ashley.
Yeah.
Everything else has been shaken up so much.
Yeah, I was thinking about it today, and I was kind of crazy. The only 2 OG members of the 7 are Homelander and the Deep, and it's really crazy.
He's your backup.
Maeve is gone. You killed Noir. We have a new one technically, so that to the public it's still the same guy, but
yeah,
we know it's different. Right? A-Train's now on the run. And then you have the Deep, which...
That's another thing. Like, Vought, from what I understand, is an international company, right? So how the hell is A-Train going to stay on the move the whole time? How do you do that? That's just got to be a horrible existence, because they got a lot of reach.
Yeah. I mean... I've said it all season that I think this has been the case. I don't think A-Train makes it out of next week's episode. I think he's done. I personally, and I also said that last season. I had said that was one of my things last season. I said I think that heart attack should have killed A-Train, and that was one of my criticisms going into this season. I feel like that should have been the end of his character. Now I'm ultimately actually glad they didn't, because this is easily the most I've enjoyed A-Train's character, because like this arc has been amazing for him. I never really cared for A-Train. I thought like he's a fine character. He's whatever. He was never one of my favorite characters. And this season they proved he's a fun character. And I think there's a fun thing that's now happened where like somehow A-Train is one of the goodest characters on the show. And so that means we're fucked. I think when A-Train is like one of the most morally right characters, we are screwed.
Yeah, we're heading into some deep waters.
Yeah.
Speaking of, how dare he? Oh my god. First, okay, poor Ambrosius, okay? How he kept her tank so dirty that whole time when he's sitting there trying to call her his like part-time lover and everything. You absolute monster. Oh my gosh.
That is such an interesting sequence, because it's like it's weird, because it's like it's a very sad scene. It's a very dramatic scene, and I love how serious they play such a silly like scenario. Like it's a man arguing with his octopus lover that he's cheated on. Like that's
Yeah.
that's a statement I would never have said. Like so it's inherently a silly sequence, right? But also like they play it so seriously, and I think the actor who plays the voice, and also just just like her in the booth having to
It was
use
Tilda
these
Swinton,
lines.
yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine Tilda Swinton in the booth, like gagging and having to pretend to be
Kevin,
dying?
no! Help me, Kevin! Oh, Kevin!
Help me! And it goes on so long. Like it's like a 30-second sequence of just her being like, ugh.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just kept waiting for it to end. Oh my goodness. It was absolutely hilarious.
and you know, also very like it's a very like Marriage Story esque scene, but like it sucks because like you're just kind of waiting, like you're waiting, like he's gonna go out and save her. He's gonna do this and then put her in the other
Yeah.
tank, and I think I don't know the actor who plays Deep, but like his performance here, I think, is really good, especially when you think that there's no one else in the room with him. He's acting by himself in that room, right?
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
like when you put that in perspective, it's he does such a good job, and there's this like you can tell in his face like he is so mad and he's so angrily mad, but also he wants to go save her. He's like, no, I can't. Like there's so many different things on his face while he's doing the scene. It's such
His
a great
desperation to be taken seriously is just so crippling. Just so crippling. You know, it's almost as much as Homelander's mother issues, you know. It's awful.
Yeah. It's crazy, and I think the Deep, for better words, has gone off the deep end through. He's now like
nice.
he's now, I think, cut off because he's always been like a terrible character. Like I've always said, I think he's one of the worst members of the Deep, just in terms or of the seven. And
from day one proved that, didn't he?
Yeah, like he's always just been one of the most dubious people on the team. But I think the main idea of what they've been kind of doing with him this season is, or I guess just me realizing who the Deep is. It's just like he's a loser. The Deep is just a loser, and I think there's this running. I think he's a fantastically written character because it's like he knows he's a loser. Everybody else knows he's a loser, and it's just him trying to prove to everyone else and himself that he's not a loser, and just failing miserably. And like there's go ahead.
The one person that was ready to accept him and love him for all of his faults.
Yeah. He killed.
Because they weren't cool enough and they wouldn't get him the respect that he feels he's entitled to.
And like
he angrily smashed the tank.
Yeah, and I think like the sage scene is so important for his character in this episode. Just like, no, she respects me. She thinks I'm a higher being. And then there's the thing where like, oh no, I had to mess up my brain to even consider fucking you. Like that's what that scene implies. Then just like she never respected you. Your octopus wife was right. Like you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And you just killed the one person that would have had you. That had any kind of respect.
How do you come back from that? How do you come back? How do you take yourself seriously as a person? You know, like knowing that. Like, I understand she's smart and stuff. What to have to like fully lobotomize herself to get with you, and then knowing that like your soulmate, whatever shape they may have come in, you have killed because, again, you're a punk. You know, devastated for Aborigines. My goodness.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm so because like I in a little bit here I do want to kind of talk about where we think characters will kind of land after next week's episode. And that's something we go into. I think the Deep is the one where I don't know. Like he could die, he could live, he could go. Like I have no idea where we're taking the Deep after this, and that's crazy. Like he's the one where I'm like I have no idea. Like his arc feels like it could end here. Or he could like surpass the boys. I have no idea.
I don't know because honestly, I'm expecting season 5 to be like a little bit like a civil war,
Yeah.
in that you're gonna get
Very
like
scorched earth.
heroes for like that just split the divide of people that won't go across the line and people that will,
Mm.
and it'll be very public. And I think that the Deep will be a good henchman for the side that will go too far. Like he was very eager to take the bat, you know.
Yeah,
So
100%. Justin says the presidential assassin plotline is too close to what happened over the weekend, and I don't want to go into what happened over the weekend. I try to keep most politics kind of out of these conversations, but this is something that we were discussing off stream, and we're like, we could just talk about the fact of how crazy it is. Just not even what happened in the weekend, just what's the current debates that are happening, the current U.S. election that's currently going on over here, and how accurately they've depicted what's happening now. It's a show that they filmed a year and a half ago. Like it's like I want to say that they're just such good writers for being able to do that, and I think they are very good writers. But I also think that just goes to show how predictable certain things are in our country, that they were able to just be like, well, yeah, that's the thing. But I bet they're like kicking their shoes up in the air of how close they are with that everything. It's
yeah. Yeah, they must be loving
no
themselves.
way, guys. Like, I bet they're like, this is crazy. It's mad.
Like, how did you feel about the doppelganger this week?
Ooh, yeah, no, that's a great one. And that's, oh my gosh. I mean, I think, a lot of people has kind of pointed out it's very much taking on a supernatural thing that they did on Supernatural, where shapeshifters would have to like shed their skin, and this is obviously Eric Kripke, Supernatural, so there's a lot of ties to that show, and this is a more like rated R version of that, because you actually had to, which looked horrendous, by the way, where they just peel off the skin and throw it up. Like that looks so unbelievably painful. I don't know if it is painful for them. I don't know. Maybe power they don't feel it or whatever. But
they were going deep, so I hope not.
They're like ripping it off. Like
yeah. Oh, you gotta think they've already got like a face developing under that for them to have like a space to hook. Yeah. So probably not. It's probably just like superfluous. They might feel suffocated by it. It might feel quite like a release.
Sure. Like a sunburn when you peel off the dead skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting because they already did a shapeshifter in season 1.
Yeah.
/2, I think.
I think they died in season 2. Homelander killed them.
Yeah. And they just did like a little blah, 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 like a whole bubble situation. So it's nice to see that even though you could have like a similar power set, it works in different ways for different people.
Yeah, sure.
Which I like.
How many characters have like super strength or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say like a big conversation this season that I think is kind of interesting is like, why are we treating Huey so terrible every episode? And I don't think it's a criticism. I think it's just a story they're telling. But it is a very interesting, like, if you look at the season, like, both him and Annie were dealing with their abortion kind of, their abortion situation being out to the world. That's very traumatic. His father dies. Then he is sexually harassed. Then he's sexually harassed again an episode later at the end here. And it's just like, you are like, again, I don't think it makes it bad writing, but it's just like, why? Like, why are we doing so much to Huey in one particular season? Because I feel like he's had it pretty okay up until this. I mean, outside of his girlfriend being murdered in the first episode, I should say. But I feel like after that, he's had pretty smoothish sailing up until this point, and now it's like, oh,
maybe they're asking the question of, like, the Joker's like one bad day storyline. Maybe it's like they keep pushing Huey until he becomes Butcher.
Oh, sure.
Like, how much can you give this guy with Soups just tearing his life apart, taking away his dignity, taking away everything, and then
we're gonna see
not have him become prejudice against them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think we're going to maybe see like a bit of a vengeful Huey maybe next week. Maybe not even necessarily what happened to him, because what happened to him is still pretty messed up. Like, that's really messed up.
I don't think he's gonna know until season 5.
Do you think? That. I mean, do you think we're not saving Annie? Because Annie's locked up in a basement.
I think they're only gonna know at the end of this, at the end, like maybe, like.
Oh man.
I think it's gonna be like a whole minute before the penny drops. Mm-hmm. Honestly, because even if like, okay, oh yeah, sorry, I was thinking of Starlight's mother. I've got a whole thing to say about her. But oh, what was I saying? Yeah, so like even if it's a case of we come to the realization that Starlight is kidnapped, they might not put 2 and 2 together that there is another, or that the chameleon was involved. You know, it could just be that somebody came and got her from Vought. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I just kind of assumed that we would be like, oh, let's go save her next week. But like, you're right. Like, they don't know anything, and like, that's like it is a really hard scene to watch, because that entire sequence, you're like, something's not right. She feels out of character within the scene. And it's just like, Huey, come on, get it. But like, it's a tough scene to watch. And then I love how they like reveal it, where they just show the flashes of like, oh, this is what's been happening or whatever. This is how she got taken or whatever. And
no, because I did think that woman got real close, and I was wondering, is she a fan? Or is she just getting this close to do like a Homelander move or something, you know?
I was like, why'd they show that? Like, why'd they show this random lady in a whatever? Oh, no, it's poor Annie. Annie's also had a rough season. Annie's had a really rough go of it these last couple episodes. And like seriously, the mom, I forgot about how much I hated her mom.
Okay, so you know, like last week when we were talking about how new people need to inherit the earth, she's one of the people that just needs to go. A freak accident needs to befall that woman. She is the worst. Sitting there saying, oh, like, I can't, again, I was watching Showing Friends earlier episodes, and then like she was like, oh, I don't think I can do this. I can't go on. And she's like, oh, baby, all my friends are watching. You can't do this to me. This is what we worked hard for. I need this, you know. And she's like, oh.
This is a show full of like murderers and psychopaths and unfortunately rapists. And this mother is at the top of my most hated characters in this show.
Absolutely. How is that?
That shows you how much I hate this woman. Like, she has, and it sucks because I know people like this. I know so many people like this that are just like, they care more about their self-image and more about that they care about their own children. And like, she didn't care that this stuff came out about her daughter. She cared that it's shining a bad light on her. And it's just like, well, you did this. You shot your kid up with V. You put her in all these shows. You pushed her to the point where she could get in the 7. This is all your fault. This is all on you, woman. Like, oh my gosh.
I wouldn't go that far. Justin.
No comment, Justin. No comment.
That's crazy. That's a hot take.
We're up there.
Wow.
That's funny. Oh my gosh.
Great.
No, great. It's yeah, it was a crazy episode. I think it was a good penultimate. We got Frenchie back this week, which
the arrogance of that man. I'm sorry to interrupt. The sheer arrogance. How you think you're gonna leave her and deny her visits and all of this, and then just come back with an open arm and think that's it?
Yeah.
No.
I think this is. I like Frenchie. I do. I enjoy him for the most part. I do think it's his time to go, though. I think just as a character, I do think he's one of them on the chopping block next week. And I'm kind of okay with it because, he's been gone for a couple episodes, and then he comes back this week, and I'm just like, oh, yeah, you're here. I forgot about you. And again, I like
him.
Frenchie.
I like him.
do like Frenchie. But also,
he's just making some bad choices.
I think he's just kind of run out of things to do at this point,
The
And like,
difficult thing though is he's a useful character of the team in the fact that
yeah,
he's like their Mr. Fix It.
sure.
So if you don't have him, you're going to need to replace him with like a CIA Q or
Mm,
something, you know?
yeah. Yeah, no. It's and I've enjoyed he's him and Kamiko, I think, are the two storylines that for me haven't quite kind of fit into everything. Like it's like, oh yeah, they're kind of off doing their own little thing over there. And that's not necessarily bad. I think it's been alright. Especially I think Kamiko, like her storyline is like she doesn't quite have one, I feel like her
Mm.
storyline is like I feel bad because I want Frenchie to feel okay. And I think when Frenchie's storyline isn't the most like engaging to me, I don't know. Like I feel like we're trying to do something with her sister, right? Her no. Who's that woman that she met up with a
I'm
couple
not
episodes ago?
100%, okay? Because I don't have Amazon, right? So I'm just going to
Mhm.
say it. I've been having to watch this on a extracurricular site.
Jack Sparrow streaming service, if you will.
Yes. And they don't have the subtitles up yet, like on the day of when it comes out.
Mhm.
So when Kamiko's there doing sign language, I'm playing guessing games.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So yeah, no, I mean like there is that sequence in the episode that I actually think is very good. So I can kind of like tell you a little bit about it if you want, but like it's her kind of telling about her backstory that I don't, and it's been a while since I've seen those earlier seasons. I might have to revisit it, but how they're forced to kill each other, and like whoever screams first is out or
Yeah,
whatever, and she has to kill
yeah.
her own sister, I think. And like it's her trying to comfort Frenchie in the scene of being like, well, I've killed people too. I've done these bad stuff too. And I do think that the difference between those two things is like, yes, but you were literally forced to. Like, there's someone being like, do this or die, where Frenchie, you were being paid to do these terrible things. Like, so I do feel like there is a
The
difference between
different,
the two.
yeah, but you got to remember his relationship with the woman from season like 1, 2, and 3 or whatever it is
Yeah.
with, um, like, because she broke him in her own way,
Yeah.
but she wasn't the first
He's still a
person.
victim. He is 100% still a victim.
Like, but again, like she wasn't the first person to break him. Like he's had
Yeah.
like people psychologically owning him, and he's gone into some weird, twisted, um, Stockholm goddamn situation, and like yeah, so like there is guilt to be laid at his feet, but he is just as much of a victim for
I
sure.
agree. Yeah, no, I'm not saying he's not a victim. Justin said I miss Queen Maeve's. So
Don't you
I
know
do
it?
think it was the right decision to write her off for at least the
Mm-hmm.
time being, because I feel like she could kind of run into kind of like a Kamiko situation right now, where like, what do you do with her right now, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
do hope that she can maybe somehow come back in next season, maybe even not in a big capacity, like in the final battle. Like I think it'd be cool to have her on the boys' side, being like, no, because we're going to need some more soups. I think we might list in help of Maeve. We can maybe we can get Soldier Boy back in the mix, being like, hey, let's finally kill your dad. It'd be kind of cool if you could bring in like some of those Gen V folks as well, being like, hey, do you want to help us? Want to help us take down a Homelander or whatever? So like, I can
Well,
see
this
that
is
kind
the
of
thing
happening.
that I'm glad you. I think Ryan's speech at the end,
Oh yeah,
right? Oh, like I felt how Butcher felt. I was like, yes, 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 absolutely, Ryan. That is it. You do the right thing. You stand by your mother. Good job. Keep it
yeah,
up. And I think that also might be the catalyst for other heroes that needed to hear that. In the same way that A Train got that rush and from the admiration he got in that hero moment, um, I think that's going to be true for other characters as well. I think some people are going to maybe take this on board, and I don't know. I think they might put in some genuine saves that aren't like vault regulated and stuff,
mm-hmm.
and then be like, oh,
This is what
that's
that
what this is
feeling is.
supposed to
Yeah,
be. this is what I'm supposed to be doing, you know. And then so that might like tie into season 5 where there's like a schism in the whole community, and then
Yeah.
Homelander's at the head of one, and then Queen Maeve, Starlight, um, any number of heroes could be chosen for let's do this the right way, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've really liked Ryan because I was very curious going into the season what Ryan's role in the show would be like what like
Mhm.
I was curious because he got pushed to a series regular this season. I was like, kids in these type of shows can be very hit or miss. Sometimes they very much work, sometimes they don't. And I've loving how they've written him. I think he's actually one of the strongest characters this season. And I think having like viewing Homelander from a different perspective is very interesting as like a child who wants to see the best in his father, who wants to have a father, for the first time, and like wanting to just and like I think it's a very interesting thing where you're just throwing someone into the spotlight and not really knowing how to react to it, thinking you have to be like yes sir or yes ma'am to everything that's going on. And and by the way, their little puppet show song is insane, absolutely bonkers moment. But like, can you imagine just showing that on TV? Just like
I'm
insanity.
so glad he said something. Um,
Yeah.
did you notice after the leak is because it started with A Train and then it got leaked that he was the leak, and then they changed it for like the Deep and like Queen Maeve or somebody and like Black Noir in there and everything else. Like they just completely like, we gotta change it, guys. Can't have him up there no more.
It's
Nope.
it's it's such a weird thing because it's like and I think it's a commentary on like people will hate on or like these people clearly don't believe with what they're spewing, but it's like, oh, but this person said this is what we should believe, so we're gonna believe this thing. And it's like, this is insane. It's just like, yeah, your father wants to do this, so we freaking do it because we're not gonna
Mm.
die for this type of thing. But I think that ending speech is going to have huge ramifications for next week's episode. I'm kind of scared for Ryan because I think that's where Homelander is coming next. I think he's going to go talk to his son, and I'm nervous for him. And Homelander's not in a good place right now because he's been betrayed twice in one day. One by A Train, which was actually kind of a little wholesome to see how upset he was about A Train like betraying
Yeah.
him. And it was like,
Yeah.
oh, I've had this ally for years, and now he's betraying me. And also the Sage thing, where like he feels like she's betrayed him. So I think, and now he feels like his son has betrayed him. So I feel like
Right.
he is not in a good spot at the moment. Like I'm scared for Ryan.
I think he'd be fine. I think he'd be fine. I love you right about A Train because that was adorable. It's like just like his little face. Um, Sage is really interesting because we were talking
Yeah.
about whether or not she'd be laying up plans just for herself or for Homelander, whether it was just for Homelander and herself, or just herself. We weren't sure.
Yeah.
And I think now being fired, I think she's gonna be different than when she was at home before. Do you know what I mean? Before it was just like giving up on the world, blah blah blah. But now I think she's gonna have motivation to actually get some revenge. And
Mm.
the thing is, though, is whether or not she'll try to. If she'll have so much pride in her original work, is that she will want to have that finished off
Mm-hmm.
and say, "I can do it without you. I'm right. I told you so. Go screw yourself." Or if she'll be so much of nothing matters that she will just work against him and
Yeah.
work for the just now switch
The
sides.
boys.
You
Yeah.
know.
I
So yeah, sorry, go on.
no, I can see this going in several different directions. Like I have several
Mhm.
thoughts in my head where this could go. The first one is like I feel like I am yet to fully see her be really smart. Like they tell us she's smart, and like they're telling us all these things and stuff like that. But I'm yet to fully see it. I feel like so there is a part of me that's wondering like, is her getting fired even part of her plan? Like did she knew all of this would lead to her getting fired?
Mm-mm. What happened there?
Hello?
Hello, we're back. Okay,
I can't hear you. Hello?
and we're back. Oh, hang on.
My internet just shut down and kicked me out.
I thought the problem. I've been having some technical issues recently. I just thought it was me.
No, I think it was me. And like I was talking there for I think a good like 2 minutes, and I was like, "Oh wait, I think I'm not in the studio anymore. What the heck? I didn't know if the whole stream shut down or do you remember the last thing I said before I got kicked?
We were talking about Sage and
Yeah.
her machinations.
Yes, I was kind of talking about I don't know where I stopped. So I'll try
We just start again.
back.
Just start it again. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I was saying, like, was this like part of me was wondering, was this her plan the entire time? Like is the idea that like she knew from the start that she would get fired, and this is all secretly kind of part of her plan, and she's gonna act like she's mad or whatever, or was this like a hiccup in the plan? She get fired, and now she's going to go in multiple of ways she could go, right? There's several different directions, and like there is a part of me that's like she could just go like screw the earth, screw the world, because like she's had those elements of like, well, I could cure cancer, I could stop like global warming, but what's the point? Like why should I even? So she could double down on those feelings and be like, well, let's freaking set off a bomb or whatever, and just like blow it up. She, like you said, she could also like maybe she goes to the boys and she's like, hey, screw Homelander, like he kicked me to he kicked me to the curb, whatever. All this
I know how to really hurt him.
Yes,
yeah.
Like there's so many different directions, and but I do need a moment. I feel like I'm waiting for that aha moment with her, where she's like, she's the smartest person in the world. And I feel like I am yet to fully see that. Like she's very smart, she's very capable, she can have a all this stuff ahead of time. But I want this like, oh yes, this is what everything she's been doing is leading to. So I'm kind of hoping it's the first option. Like I'm kind of hoping it was in her plan to like get fired. Like this is all just in her best interest to leave her on top, kind of. So I don't know. What's your kind of take on it?
So you're thinking, like at the end of like a murder mystery when like Miss Marple or Poirot or Benoit Blanc is there, and he's like, "This is how it all happened."
Yes,
that's what you're waiting from her.
Yeah,
okay,
just like, aha! I was.
Yeah.
This is my plan the whole time. Just very like a Brooklyn Nine-Nine thing, where it's like, this is how I did the heist. It was me.
See, like my whole thing is that I think she just kept taking Homelander at his word. Like she's like, I know you're broken. How broken are you? Are you broken so much that this isn't going to work? Just leave now. Or are you broken, but this can work? And then he's like, yeah, no, I'm fine. This can work. This can work. I'll listen to you. Just kept showing that wasn't going to be the case.
No.
And then, yeah. Do you know what, as well? It's a little bit like Mean Girls, because you had the scene at the dinner party where Firecracker walks over to the group where Homelander just stood there. And then Sage like, it's a private party. And he's like, because she sat there talking about free shrimp, like free shrimp. You're talking to gods, like who feel like they feel like they're gods, and you're talking about free shrimp. Okay. And then so she gets like shunned from the group, the social group, and then next week she pulls a Mean Girls and then gets Sage fired. It's just like, come on.
I cannot personally see. I think Sage is going to continue the next season. I don't feel like she's done.
No.
But I cannot see Firecracker moving on to season 5. I think.
Really?
I don't know if she dies. I don't know if she leaves. I just, she feels to me like a season 4 exclusive in terms of just like, I don't know, her like, because it's all very like political. It's all very like, this is like the political season or whatever. I don't know. I have a hard time imagining her being still at the table at the 7 in season 5. I don't know. I don't
think that she will stay there.
Mhm.
I just think he'll move her off to be a nursemaid or something.
Yeah.
Because there's no way he's giving that up. Like, no way. Unless they've just like used that as an explainer of how he's filled up the fridge, you know, and then she gets bumped off.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's also I imagine it must be a weird time in the media, just every couple months a member of the Seven leaving. You know what I mean? Like, can you just imagine an outside perspective of like, well, all right, like Translucive dies, and then a Noir is gone for a while, but oh, he's back, and then you have Annie leaving and Storefront leaving, and like you have all these different things, like Annie leaves, and then A-Train's a criminal. Like, I can just imagine the press being like, what the hell is happening? Like, I imagine all these clickbait videos, like what's really happening at the Saven, and here like we're losing two at the same time, which I would imagine is like those. I bet there's a thing. I bet so many people are reporting like, oh, what happened to the two black members of the Seven? Why they both leave at the same time? Like, I bet there's already articles being like, oh, the Seven hates, obviously, like those are the things people are going to be saying. So I'll be very curious how it all kind of works itself out or whatever going into this final episode. Where do you think?
Excited.
Okay, so what's your death predictions for next week? Because I have a feeling we're gonna have a few deaths. I feel like we have at this point. We kind of have to at this point. Like, it feels inevitable. Like, where do we think characters are gonna lead after next week's episode? What's our kind of final predictions for next week?
Do you think they could? Do you think they could ever bump off Ryan?
Oh, is that too dark for them? I don't know.
I don't know. This is why I'm asking, because I don't know.
I don't want Ryan to die. I don't. I think at least not this season. Maybe next season. Maybe like I'd actually be kind of okay if Ryan like has to. No, I don't know if I want him to sacrifice himself to kill Homelander, because I feel like that's Butcher's arc. I feel like Butcher has to end. Like, I think the show ends Butcher sacrificing himself to kill Homelander. I think that's how it all ends. It just kind of feels like that's it. But maybe that'd be crazy if Homelander killed Ryan next week. I don't think that's the case, but
no. I mean, that would put like child punishment on a whole other level. I don't think either like that would be the case. But like, say for example, maybe like the virus getting out of control, hitting the wrong person, and then like showing the consequences of that, and then like everybody just going crazy after that, and then it's all just everything hits the fan. Yeah,
they blame the like Starlighters on getting out or whatever. A good friend of mine, I was talking about the show earlier, and his predictions is that Mother Milk is going to die next week, which at first I was like, no, there's no way. But he brought up a really good point about one of the biggest tropes in like Hollywood is a character retiring, then coming out of retirement, realizing that's what they need to do, which leads to their death, which is, I thought about that. I'm like, shit, you're right. That is a very big trope.
The thing is, though, sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
My only counterpoint to that is that both Mother's Milk and Huey and Frenchie have been in and out of this team since day one of this show. Yeah. They've constantly been backing out and coming back in, and having a retirement, and I'm just done now. I can't deal Butcher no more, so I quit. Where's my money? All of that, So like, I get it, but honestly, with how much he is like the heart of the team, which used to be Huey, it's Mother's Milk the whole way.
I don't like I don't know. I do want Mother Milk to be a character that's there at the end. But I've also even had the idea after this week's episode. I was like, what if Mother Milk doesn't die? What if his family does, though? Like, what if there's a storyline next season of like, they asked me to go with them, I said no, and they left and they died. Like, that's on me. If they would have stayed here, they would have survived. And then we just have a full-on like survivor's guilt season. Mother's Milk in next season is just like,
Yeah,
they gotta fucking die. Like
that
maybe
would
he's
be
even like
deep. That would be deep.
pro virus at that point. Just being like, no, they got
Yeah,
they gotta
yeah,
go.
yeah. Mother's Milk off the deep end. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
I'd like
That's
in my head.
scary.
I'm like, that's just a prediction I'm throwing out there. So if it does happen, I could be like, cha-ching or whatever.
Do you know what I've seen floating around? I think we might have discussed this before, but there's somebody that's waiting for the MacGuffin that is the person known as Cindy. The shaved headed lady that was that also has Marie and Newman, Victoria Newman's powers in the head popping department. And she escaped the prison and was like, I don't like bullies, you know, and she's just rocking around out there. And she could destroy Homelander.
Sure.
Or at least do some damage, you know, like take a limb or two off, and then boom, easy work for the rest of everybody.
Sure. I wonder if they'll, because I don't remember her at the top of my head, but I have to rewatch those first couple of seasons. I'm seeing she was in season 2. Maybe she shows up in like Gen V, or she has the same power as like Marie. Maybe they could show up in Gen V season 2.
That'd be cool.
Kind of fun. That'd be kind of cool. I could see Frenchie biting the dust. I think A-Train's biting the dust.
I put so much energy against that, so it doesn't happen. You cannot jinx it. No.
I think
A-Train needs to stay. He has to stay. I love him so much.
Or Mother's Milk. I don't think they both. I think they're both. No. They're both on that docket of just like. Do
you know who I think's gonna go? Do you know who I think's gonna go? Victoria.
Newman, yeah. I think that feels right.
Like, because they're trying to get 2 like prize cows, and they obviously can't get Homelander. He's the whole reason we're here. So who do you get next? And because she's been surviving and causing mischief since like end of season 1, 2, you know, like where she's outside of the building where they're holding the press conference. So I think it would make sense for her to go, especially because she's had a legacy monster in Chloe. Is it Zoe?
Zoe, yeah. I think I could see it being Huey. I could see Huey being so mad about what's going on in his life right now with Starlight, because it was kind of their thing. Like it was Homelander's plan, and I think maybe Huey finds out that she knew about this plan, and it's like, like screw you, man, and somehow kills her, which would be crazy because they're married, they're like dating in real life, so that'd be a crazy.
Really?
Yeah, they're really dating.
Do you know how I think he would do it? Poisoning her in those, like, have a secret meeting again, but this time poison the snacks.
Sure. I mean, it'd be satisfying if he could blow up her head somehow. I think that'd be really satisfying. I mean, as much as I really like her character, actually, I think she's a fantastic character. But
there has to be another. I keep calling her Claire. Is it Claire from Gen V, the blonde?
Kate, right?
Kate. Damn it! Every time. Kate, right? Like, she could tell her to blow up her own head.
Oh my gosh, Kate could do whatever the hell she wants. She could tell Homelander, just be like, freaking drown, bro.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, you know, that's something I was talking about like earlier. It's just like, I'm actually shocked that they let her so close to Homelander, because like she is like one. She's like the one that could defeat Homelander if she wanted to. Just
absolutely, yeah.
Solo the 7 so instantly, just like slowly go through the 7 and be like, hey, why don't you protect me if something happens? Hey, why don't you? You're like my troll, and then go for Homelander and just have all of the 7 just like hold him down or whatever. I don't know. Like, I think she could
make me queen of the world, and then and then I'm the ruler, and then you do with everything I say, or literally just fly off into the sun.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm so excited for as much as I've been liking the season. Gen V season 2 cannot come soon enough. I'm so excited to pick up where those characters left off. And how does it how does this season affect that show? Because I feel like prepping for The Boys season 5 is going to be huge for Gen V.
If it has to, I mean, maybe its sole purpose of season 2 is to be able to survive past The Boys.
Yeah.
Like as a show, you know what I mean? Like set up its own reason to keep going past The Boys outside of that.
Yeah, I'm actually very curious. I was thinking about this the other day. What does Gen V season 3 look like? Because Gen V season 3 will be post The Boys season 5. So what does Gen V look like without The Boys? Like Gen V will now be the main show of this universe. Like we have The Boys Mexico coming in, but Gen V will be like I assume like the new top dog of this universe. So what does that look like? Which I'm totally okay with. Like I think they have that staying power. Like it is a spinoff of The Boys, but I think it does honestly kind of feel like its own thing as well, which I think is great.
Are they definitely not coming back in then? Kate and Sam. That's it.
I don't know. I was kind of I'm like obviously I'm disappointed because I love them. I wanted to see more of those characters, but also I kind of think it's okay. Like because then you're not running into like a Mando situation where it's like, wait, I have to watch Boba Fett to understand what's happening and whatever. So like I feel like going into Gen V season 2, you won't be lost if you didn't watch The Boys season 4 type of thing. You know what I mean?
No, but like having them in there doing something other than just being extras in the crowd of a gang beating. I mean,
I'm so disappointed with those kids for signing with Homelander. It's like I raised you better, y'all, but I guess I haven't.
Well, he was like they were the bad guys. Do you know what I mean? And then he comes down and then just completely switches it all around, and it's like how. It just shows like how good Vought are at spinning the narrative.
Yeah,
it's horrendous.
Very quickly, I know we've been talking with Boys for a minute now. There was that massive fight in this episode that we haven't touched on yet. The giant, the deep noir versus the Boys, which was a pretty insane fight. And I think really, like I've been saying this for a couple of seasons now, but I think it solidified how weak the Seven are. Like they are really just like probably the weakest superhero team I've ever seen because they're going against a bunch of humans. Starlight doesn't even have her like if Starlight had her powers, maybe this is a different conversation. But like these are a bunch of humans essentially, and I feel like they should be able to take them out, but they didn't. They proved that they're really just nothing.
Yeah, because like the Justice League, like the best part about that show is on episode 1 they showed you like why each hero was there, you know, like how powerful and how good they are, and then they join up, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. This, like, literally, it's the criticism everybody has, where it's like, oh, Superman's the only one on the team that's worth anything or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they've made this, like Homelander is the only one. Like it is all about Homelander, you know.
And I think they used to have a pretty compatible team, right? When you had Starlight and Maeve.
Queen Maeve.
Yeah, but like we're looking at now, I mean, like Noir, I guess Noir's powers now he could just fly, but like also.
Yeah, because OG Black Noir was much better of a fighter. Like this guy has obviously trained, but like Black Noir had like a whole dojo house. He literally lived in like Masakasa Dojo house.
He was like, he was like Batman essentially. Yeah. 100%. And which I thought was really funny, the scene where he just passes out mid-fight and is like, what the hell, man? Like, it's so silly.
I couldn't believe it. Oh my god. I think he might be a turncoat as well. I think he might switch. Like if he starts seeing like a tide turning, because he's already got a foot out the door, I think he'll switch.
Mm-hmm. I this isn't a criticism because I get why they didn't want to do it, but I was a little bit like, I feel like we could have found a way to kill them. I feel like we've killed Supes with less. I feel like we could have put them somewhere, found a way to cure them, or put them somewhere where they couldn't. I don't know. I feel like they kind of brushed off like, oh, we don't know how to kill them.
They're fighting off.
Yeah, I mean, can we put a bomb in their butt like we did last time with Transclusive? Like, I feel like maybe we could have found a way to kill him.
How on earth the Deep isn't dead yet? I don't know.
It felt like slightly lazy writing, and I don't like throwing that term around. Just like, we can't kill him. Let's go. And it's like, but you have right there. You're in a little package. Like, we've waited for opportunities like that in the past. I don't know.
I think if you were playing by those like with them rules, you'd have to make the seasons a lot shorter. Like, you wouldn't have five of them.
I understand. Like, I do. I do get it. It's just like a back of my mind, like, oh, I don't love that, but it's whatever. But no, great episode. Butcher's passed out in a bar. Hopefully he doesn't freaking die.
His eyes are so red and bloodshot. Honestly, it's like when he had bloody laser beams when they're all glowing orange and that. It's like,
poor guy,
dude. How are you making it to season 5?
I know there gotta be something next week, but I feel like we gotta fix them somehow next week's episode. But I do really love his whole thing of like I have so much faith in this kid. Like, I am putting everything on the line for him. Like, this is why I'm not doing this, because I have faith in this guy. And it's just like him, and but also just like him being like, well, screw you, I'm gonna make your cancer worse or whatever, just because you won't listen to me. I think it's such a funny thing to have. But no, it's great.
Do you think Stan Edgar is going to be somebody of importance anymore, or do you think that they're just going to leave him to it?
I hope he's a regular next season. I forgot how much and this is just me loving that actor. Like, you could give him anything and I'll eat it up. I think he's great. But honestly, if we're killing off Newman this season, maybe he kind of slips right back into that spot. Especially, I think with everything I think everything was going to be burning down. I think he might side along with the boys next season. Maybe not completely, but I could see him being like, yeah, we gotta take care of this. Like, things are getting bad. Let's wrap this up, kind of thing.
Could that be really interesting? Is if like so like say for example in Mortal Kombat, right? You have like Raiden and Shao Kahn fighting, right, on a rooftop or whatever, and then that's like supposed to be like a whole good versus evil dramatic climactic battle with repercussions for which side wins. But when you step back, you have somebody of much more power and importance stood there going, haha, my plan is working, right? So like, you could have Billy and Butcher. You could have Butcher and Homelander having their like tete-a-tete, while you've got Stan Edgar and Sage like together with their own intentions and stuff, which could also widen the universe, which gives us what we have in Mexico.
No, I think, because that's the thing, is like, I imagined you ended the boys with Vought being destroyed, but I don't think you can. I think the fact that you do have the boys Mexico, you have Genevieve still in place, maybe we do throw Stan Edgar back as CEO at the end of the boys. Like, maybe it's like, we can't do this. Like, we can't fully destroy or whatever. But let's put him back in charge, or maybe it's a little less as bad or whatever.
Because otherwise, it becomes one of those Netflix movies like that Chris Evans was in, or Jamie Foxx or whoever, where just a random assortment of people have superpowers and others don't.
Yeah.
And then like, that's now the world we're dealing with, because there's no authority to it. You know what I mean? It's just bedlam of who has what, and like, society is now changing because of it, you know. So I don't really want to go that route with the boys Mexico. So I think I do need what you're saying. I do need somebody to be in charge of Vought and keeping that going. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. And yeah, I do think I'm gonna have to wrap up our boys discussion there. But this is the show we can talk about for so long, man. I have so many thoughts on this show. We have a comment I do want to bring up really quickly from DH1. Hey, Darren, since you're 1 hour away from the Superman movie being filmed, have you gone to see any of the filming? I have unfortunately not. I haven't been able to get up there. It's very tempting, just be like, oh, I'll just go up there and see just the set from the outside or whatever. I haven't, but it is just it's a very cool environment because everyone's like, oh, did you know that Superman's filming? Like everyone's like, yeah, I knew. I knew way before anyone else knew. But it's just been a cool environment because nothing really happens around here. Like this is an area where just not a lot of cool things occur. So it's been really cool to see everyone excited about something big happening in our state, if you will.
That's cool.
But speaking of Superman, we're talking about my adventures with Superman.
Wow, another great segue.
Amazing segue. Thank you, DH1, for giving us that little whoop. This is also, again, the penultimate episode for my adventures with Superman. I'm loving the season, man. Like, again, I thought it was good, but I thought it started kind of slow. It was kind of making its way in, kind of setting all the pieces. But I think episode 6 through episode 9, or is it 5? I think it's episode 6 or episode 9 have just been, in my opinion, extraordinary. I think this has been the show at its peak. I think they've just found such a great rhythm, and they've been striking gold.
Is episode 5 the episode where Lex goes Earth is for Earthlings?
I think episode 5 is the most Bachelor episode where Supergirl comes in. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
But what's been your opinion on the last couple episodes? Because last week you hadn't watched last week's episode, and you were able to get caught up a little bit. So what's your kind of vibe with the season?
Really, really good. Really good. It's amazing how much they can fit into an episode, genuinely, and not have it feel like I've just sat and watched 15 Vines, Just I don't know how they do it. It's phenomenal writing, honestly. It's so concise and just gets you on every beat that it needs to get you on. And I love the fact that we didn't spend too much time with Evil Clark this week. That was handled relatively quickly and very, very well. Very, very well.
And it never feels like an evil Superman story. Like I saw a lot of people kind of worried about oh, it's just another evil Superman, but it's not really. It's just Brainiac through Superman.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, man.
We don't see that much, do we? We've seen that with the game recently. I mean, I think maybe a handful of other times, if that.
I think I don't mean to go way off track, but I think a weird thing has happened with a couple of our evil Supermans where I think they've just transcended the Superman motif. We have Homelander, but to me, no, Homelander no longer feels like a Superman parody. He just feels like Homelander, he's his own separate kind of entity. Same with Omni-Man, where it's he's just his own separate thing at this point, and I don't necessarily think of Superman, which I think is cool. But no, I think this episode. I keep saying this. I think it might be one of the most wholesome episodes of the show, and I think that's what just sets this show apart from every other from every other Superman superhero project on right now. It's the wholesome one, and I'm a big sucker for a good. I'm a sucker for a good mindscape episode where characters are stuck in mines and they can kind of do what they want. Right, they're not necessarily restricted by the laws that the show has set in place, and you can have a lot of fun with that idea. And it was a bit of a Mindscape episode. It was a bit of a Groundhog Day episode in one of the more interesting ways I've ever seen. I've never quite seen one done in that particular way. How were you feeling on this episode?
Well, it was a hell of a way to meet the in-laws, isn't it? Really. I love this week's episode. Lois just knocked it out of the park this week with how amazing she was.
Yeah.
And all of the different ways that she tried to connect with Clark until going for the Hail Mary, because obviously she wanted to have the conversation on a normal level of I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, that's not me. But obviously had to break through. So
Mm-hmm.
even just like the recognition of her name started changing everything, which I loved. Yeah, very, very good. And it just showed how powerful Brainiac was, that he was having all of that go on while dealing with Kara and having an armada portal through space time to come and invade us. So a lot happening with that
Mm-hmm.
small computer brain there. So
It I love the aspect that I feel like Clark and Lois got to fall in love with each other all over again in a really sweet way.
oh
Like especially at the
yeah.
very start of it, where like they don't know each other. Lois doesn't even know who she is, and yet they're having another one of their meet cutes for the first time, and it's just like what a sweet moment. And you get to see Clark do this over and over again. Like I love how they displayed how they just displayed how good of a person Clark is. And in each version of this, she's like, "How can I help you? Are you hungry? Do you want cake? I like how what like." And there's such a thing where like I don't understand, but I really want to. Like how
Hmm.
can I get this? I don't know how to get this. And it's like Clark is just such a good person. I think with all that, he's in this mindscape. He's trapped by Brainiac. His parents are like, "No, you have to be bad," but he's not. He's like at his core. I think they were able to show that Clark is a good person, and that's what I love so much about Superman.
Yeah, especially that Waller seems to have gotten what General Lane was trying to put down. Like she
Mm-hmm.
seems to be picking it up, you
Yeah.
know. And I kind of feel like they might have the relationship that she has with Batman with this Superman, you know, in that it's all respect and like professional courtesy beyond that point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And like I don't watch a lot of animes or anything like that, but the scene at the end where they're hand in hand fighting each other
Oh,
together, I was like, is this the hype that anime fans feel when they watch their
yeah,
favorite like animes? Like I felt that. I was like, let's go.
dude, the bit where Kara was fighting Clark, right, and then she rushes in, and then he does that like Dragon Ball Z, like, shoop, and then like goes in. Oh,
Yeah.
oh my god, just blew me away. They are owning all of it, and then
They
just when they keep trying to shame Clark, and then all you see is that like the glasses light up because of the angle of it being down,
yeah.
and it just I
There's
love every aesthetic choice they've chosen.
yeah, it looks great. My favorite, I think my favorite scene of this episode, probably one of my favorite scenes of the show so far, is the like Lois gets powers in this episode. It's like how do I have powers? And it's like, well, we're in my mind, Lois, and in my mind, you're not just a regular human, like you're super. And it was just like,
Yeah,
God damn, it's so freaking
yeah,
cute. You're
yeah,
so perfect for each other, and I love the moment that Clark's able to like snap out of it, and it's Lois just genuinely being herself. It's just Lois being like, I did this and this and this, and I robbed a spaceship, and he's like, you robbed the spaceship? What are you thinking? And
yeah. Are you
that's
okay?
what gives. It's like,
Yeah,
what are you? What? That's insane.
yeah. Because like that was so out of the realm of normal that the robot
Yeah.
wouldn't have made that lie up. You know, like
Yeah.
it was so Lois Lane that he was like, "Hang on a minute,
Mhm.
hang on," and I love that. Absolutely love it.
DH1 asks, what do you guys think of the new Superman suit Clark got towards the end of the episode? A lot of
Loved it.
topic of conversation online. I think it looks all right. I
All right, you're
don't
pressing
like.
buttons now.
I do think it's a slight downgrade from the one he had before. I do think I prefer the original one to this one. I don't love the shoulders. Like his shoulders kind of look like he's like a Roblox character in like a weird way. But
Oh,
but I think it's fine. I do love the shorts. I do love the trunks looks most of the time, but it looks fun. It looks
I like it.
it's a solid like BA suit. It's solid. They also asked, do you think Jimmy and Kara will become a couple before the season ends?
Oh, absolutely. I'm surprised they're not already.
Yeah, I mean we kind of I don't know if you saw the post I tagged you in, but the finale episode is called My Adventures with Supergirl. So I think we're gonna have which I kind of called that last week. I was like, oh, we can have like a My Adventures with Supergirl kind of thing. So I think that's kind of where it's heading. It's cute. I hope we keep Kara around for next season. Maybe not in every episode, but I hope she's at least a reoccurring character within the show in upcoming seasons.
I'm now, because of like us discussing the scene with Lois getting powers, it genuinely reminds me of an episode of Rick and Morty, and it's making me wonder if some of the writers are on this show. Because there's a bit where Jerry does the same thing with Beth, and he sees her like a goddess, and then she comes in and saves the day. It's great.
Yeah, no, it's great. A weird highlight for me, Steve Lombard, the MVP of the episode. I loved just the Daily Planet crew coming and like, you can't do this, and I'm like, yes, we can, and then just like illegally sneaking him out of a government ban.
Can you imagine? Have you seen the movie Bullet Train?
I have. I love Bullet Train.
Right. So you know, like the water bottle gets its own introduction and like whole thing. Yeah. I would love it. Right. Absolutely love it if in James Gunn's Superman, like, Steve Lombard does like a thing, you know, like in Suicide Squad, they had that Nelson guy that was with everybody or whatever. And he's like, who's Nelson? I remember a Nelson or whatever, you know. It's like he's been right there, you know. And then if Steve Lombard has like a whole water bottle Nelson moment, and then like everything's going crazy, and then he just rushes in and saves the day, and then it's like, where have I been this whole time? And then he gets like this crazy cut flashback. Oh my god, that would be so good.
He's so, yeah, he's such a fun, again, like I think he's a character that's like, he could be overbearing if they used him too much, but they use him just the right amount, I think. And I love, he has a really, really good line of like you're his cousin, right? Like Superman gets his butt kicked like every day. Like that's just part of the superhero process. You're gonna lose, you're gonna mess up, you're fine. Just do the right thing now. And it's just like, all right, Steve, I see you. Like that's great. And I think like it's a very like it's very much like what you would see in a lot of superhero penultimate episodes where the day is lost. What are we going to do? Our backs are against the wall, and it seems like next episode is going to be like, well, now we're taking it back. Like I feel like they had all the setups towards the end there, and you're like, well, what are they possibly going to do? And I'm excited to see how they save the day, how they go about defeating Brainiac. I've loved Brainiac. I think he's been amazing. I've said that each week since we've had him, but I think again he's such a good villain. And Waller's stupid. Like I feel like she's consistently making all the wrong moves. This actually might be one of my least favorite versions of Waller I've seen because it just feels like she's good. I just think like she's consistently just making the wrong decisions. I feel.
Yeah. So Brainiac, right? Obviously, like a few weeks ago, I was saying like his whole thing usually is upgrading and improving himself, right? Kind of like Ultron a little bit in the movie. Do we think that, like, because obviously Superman just came into his life, right? And then, so that couldn't have been his plan the whole time, right? So the fact that he's vulnerable and then had to keep doing that whole system shutdown to do the wipe to like make his things work again for the next day. Yeah. Do you think like that was such a thing that he was already working on a backup, like a new body, so that like maybe next week Superman's got a new suit, Kara might get a new suit, Brainiac might get a new body.
Yeah.
Do you think he might get an upgrade?
I could see that. Yeah, I'll be on. It's going to be interesting because I know we only have such a short amount of time. Like I'm kind of hoping for a slightly longer episode. Like I'm hoping maybe for a 30-minute episode or whatever, because I do feel like there could be a lot to do next week in terms of just having. I don't know. I'll be curious. I'll actually be curious if we full on defeat Brainiac or if it's I'll see you next time, Superman kind of thing, where it's like I'll be back. Like I
I
don't
am
want to
fully
kill
expecting Team Rocket. Yeah, it's flying off again.
their Power Rangers. Like we'll be back, Ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hope he sticks around because again, he's so good as that character. I want him to be this reoccurring character that we can kind of get in future seasons or whatever's. As we kind of wrap up this episode, what are some things you want to see in this final episode to kind of wrap up the season?
I do want him to survive because I think Kara dealing with the ramifications of her actions as a victim or otherwise will be interesting to deal with. But then also seeing the other side of that, right, where you have like a big villain who has like collective like galactic shame and blame for something that's happened, and whether or not he deals with it or just doubles down would be very, very interesting. Because for next week, My Adventures of Supergirl, I wonder if that's going to be a Jimmy or Clark dominated episode.
Yeah.
100% she's going to be getting some new threads. 100%.
Yeah.
And we've said before that we feel like, or certainly I have felt that this season feels like a part 1 and 2. So I feel that not too much will be wrapped up. Like it's gonna be quite open ended for season 2.
Okay.
Especially for like Waller and Lothar.
Yes, they're.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking wish list for next week. I want to see just cool Clark Lois team up stuff. I want them to work together. Like I think it's going to be Superman's adventures with Supergirl. Like I think that's kind of like the point of it. Like, I think it's going to be them working together to take down Brainiac. I think I just do want like a nice moment with Clark and Lois to be like, yeah, let's talk about some of this stuff a little bit more. I do want Jimmy to. I want there to be consequences for his actions for spending all of his money. I think that needs to be.
I'm so glad you said that.
I need Perry to sit him down and be like, "Listen, you're fired."
Yeah. Okay, I won't go that far. I was thinking like him whipping out his card and trying to pay for something, and then just declining, and then him like, "Oh,
don't fire him from the planet," but like. Maybe I don't know actually how you'd go
about making him a leader of anything.
I feel like he's broken some laws in terms of how he's managed his business. I feel like and I do think I'm throwing out a curveball. I think Lex loses his hair. I think we're getting bald Lex.
Okay, so are you thinking stress or freak accident?
I'm thinking something to do with Brainiac. I think he caused some of this attack. I think part of this is his fault. And I think maybe an explosion, radiation from Brainiac, I don't know, something. He's like, my hair, I don't know. I think that might be the final shot of him like rising from the ashes of the incident or whatever, and he's bald now because of whatever. I don't know.
It'd be really funny if there's one of those robots, those Metallos behind Lex Luthor, right? And it's just a bit taller than he is. So then Superman uses his heat vision, but like it singes his hair and just keeps going. So Superman saved him, but made him bald. So now he's just.
Curse you, Superman!
Yeah, it's your fault. I'm bald, and that's it. I'm done. The world's over. Okay.
That's right. Yeah, no, I'm again, this is another one. I'm sad it's ending. It just feels like it came back and we're already saying goodbye to it. But yeah, I think that's gonna be where we gotta wrap up today's episode. Thank you, Darth, for being here. Thanks for joining me. Next week we're gonna be hopefully talking about some finales and how they wrapped up. Did they properly wrap up satisfyingly, or were there stuff that we would have liked to have seen? Darth, what do you want to promo? Anything you want to shout out and say?
Yeah, this week I've got a big one. So that video that I was talking about that I've been working hard on premieres in around 22 hours. Woo. So
go check it out.
Yeah, and it actually premieres as well. So it's gonna be like a live release and everybody's gonna be chatting and jumping in the comments.
Amazing.
So drop by and share some love.
Absolutely, absolutely. Go check that out. Go check his channel out. He streams sometimes on Fridays, and I pop in when I can, and it's a jolly good time over there. And yeah, we got Pipeline this Thursday. We're talking about that new Descendants movie with my good friend Chad Drayak. She'll be over there this week, and any other things I got coming out on any other whatevers, you'll see it. And yeah, and yeah, without further ado, you guys, we will see you guys on the flip side.